right. I believe more people will be joining us shortly. In the meantime, let's not waste any more time. Madam Bridget, thank you so much for being here today on this Wednesday evening, as well as for those of you that have just joined us, thank you so much. You haven't missed anything yet. With that being said, Madam Bridget is here today, who will be discussing the topic on school is out, time for fun with friends safely and progressively. So again, let us welcome Madam Bridget, who will be sharing her knowledge and expertise, as well as experiences with us. So without further ado, Madam Bridget, do you have any presentations that you would like to share?
Sure.
Okay, so
yes,
I will.
You have to make it
Yes.
possible for me to share my screen.
Yes, yeah, you can go ahead right now.
Okay. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So let's see what I have here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, so why is this? Okay, let me close this. All right. So today we're going to continue with where we left off last time and the new immigrant school system navigation series. First of all, let me go back. This is facilitated by Youth Now on Track Services and is funded by the Ministry of Children's Services. And the program is called Empower Children for a Greater Tomorrow. And how do we do that? And part of it is what we're going to look at today. And we begin with land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Now, people might wonder, why are we doing this? Why do we do this land acknowledgement? Personally, I love doing land acknowledgement. The reason is I hail from a colonized country. Often, the colonizers abuse welcoming and sharing of the indigenous peoples who give them land for free. Soon, they take over the land, loan to them, and take over more of whatever business they are doing and make themselves dominant as the lords over the natives. By forcing the natives to disregard their cultures and adopt the colonizers. For me, acknowledgement is a way of showing respect. It is saying, we are here because you are here, and you are generating, your generosity is appreciated. That's why I like doing land acknowledgement, in case you're wondering. Well, summer break is here. Kids, youth are going out to discover themselves, their friends, and bond. This is very, very important. So they get engaged in specific activities that they like with their friends. The ravages of COVID-19 has made this even more important because we've been locked up or locked down by COVID protocols for nearly 3 summers. Youth need to bond with friends, and it's more urgent than ever before because people, as a general rule, have become computer and TV zombies and need desperately to reclaim and relearn how to relate to humans. And so today, as we focus on the wonderful activities that new immigrants and parents are discovering in their neighborhoods. So what are those? They're discovering they can go for walks. There are very many of them that don't cost much or don't even cost anything. So the key is in planning. It can be camping, it can be visiting Niagara Falls, relatives, and so on. But when we talk about youth, what age group are we talking about? Let's look at that first. So we are looking at kids ages 6 to late teens. And when we do that, the younger ones have slightly different management culture by the parents than the older ones. So the 6 to 12-year-olds, but still we know that their friends are very important. The teenagers, their friends are very important. Why is that? Here we are talking about, primarily at least, about youth that have been dislodged from their familiar culture and environment into different one that they are dealing with. They are dealing with culture shock, language barriers, accents that are foreign to them, color consciousness, heritage, cultural, religious, dressing style issues, and the question of self-identity. In some cases, friends or social networks become their mirrors for self-identity. And this is why it is important at this point to talk about how do we manage, how do we plan with our kids. We as parents must do our due diligence. And what is that? Have we as parents worked into those activities our dreams of a better life in Canada as new immigrants? By remembering our family dreams when we receive the approval to come to Canada. Remembering the talks we had, the spirit of determination and success you saw then. Are we keeping those hopes alive despite the obstacles we face once we arrive here? I'm not saying that coming to Canada is a breeze, but what it means is that there are a lot of hoops to jump. Are we keeping the hopes up for jumping those hoops? Are we cultivating our youth towards actualizing those dreams, towards self-actualization, factoring in the interruptions of COVID lockdown as well? Which brings me back to the importance of friends. I've already spoken about this, that this is a time for bonding. And so, as parents, our youth look to us for valuation, believe it or not. We are their backbone, their very first one, especially if we just immigrated into this new place. Okay. After the parents come their friends. their friends become front and center. And as humans, we are creatures of habit, social creatures, and we like to be noticed, acknowledged, and appreciated. Our mental health is often tied to our social acceptance and social inclusion. This is why, for our kids, we have to bring them into what we're doing. The culture we come from, for us as parents, the culture we come from, or cultures we come from, are our backbones. And immigrating into a different country does not mean that we should throw away our culture. We need to take the good from our culture, marry it with the good from the new culture, and run with it and focus on that which we have told ourselves, that goal, that dream that we have set up for ourselves. So, what is your dream? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, "I Have a Dream," has become legendary to all and sundry. So what is your dream for immigrating into Canada? Earlier on, whatever the mind can visualize, remember, the hand can achieve. Hence, dreaming is to be encouraged in your youth, in yourselves, and knowing and recognizing that all the obstacles that come your way will fall away the more you focus on that dream. The problem comes when we don't focus enough on the dream and allow ourselves to become distracted by the many flashy and interesting things that happen in the news, in social media, and so on and so forth. Earlier, an American psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow distilled human needs into 5 categories. And when you look at it from the point of view of a new immigrant, perhaps the very first thing that is in their mind is to get to the new country. Whether they are running from politics or or they are immigrants of choice, they want to get to the new country. So those physiological needs like air, water, food, shelter, sleep, and clothing are the very first order of needs. And so you work that up. Now let me show you the picture. It's called physiological needs. And then you get into the safety part of it. During COVID, we were able to experience that. The security, the employment, resources, health, property, all were at stake. Because if the breadwinner can't work, the landlord or the mortgage payment can fall behind. And so those are the 2 first needs on that ladder. But the love, the belonging, the sense of belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection, that's the part we are focusing on today. And if we take a moment to think of it as a ladder, we can see that our dream is right at the very top of that ladder. And it's followed by your self-esteem, friendship, which is what we are focusing on today. Here, there are some assumptions that I have made, and that is that we are assuming that if we have immigrated here safely, have a housing over our heads, we have met some of the very basic ones. Okay, we have a place to put our heads, we have a shelter, and so now we want to start to make friends and connect with other human beings. COVID did interrupt it, but that should not stop us. Notice the position. Having achieved most of, oh, okay, I covered that part. Let's move on. We chose today's workshop to focus on summer activities. And I think I've introduced this part already, but we cannot afford to free fall for acceptance and social inclusion by friends during the summer. These social situations need to be managed and directed to achieve best possible values for Black youth, especially new immigrant families. While the overall goal may be to achieve our dreams or self-actualization, the question parents and youth must answer for themselves is, what does self-actualization mean or look like for our family values, for ourselves? And once they know that and they are confident about that, then they can move on and do what they need to do. Now, how do we help our 6 to 12-year-old as well as the teenagers and help them stay connected safely with friends over the summer? We have assumed here that we have achieved the two basic steps. Children are in school and they're out of school. We have the freedom of the summer break. We have to consider how, as new parents, we can manage, or we have managed thus far, the relationships that we have to help us meet our family goal, to help us achieve our dreams. Let's look at lessons. We consider a lesson from two scenarios. So, meet Samantha and Jaden. Both are excited that they are in Toronto and they are out of school, and they will have an opportunity now to bond with their friends over the summer. Both these young people came to Canada with their dads and younger siblings. They come from strong backgrounds of culture, tradition, and well-defined moral values. As young teens, both were eager to have summer fun with friends. The assumption here is that the younger youth are dropped off at a daycare or summer camp or home care, whatever it is, while the parent is out working. Here, we are presuming that the circumstances and strong dreams of a better life in Canada is a value that the family shares. And so when the young ones are dropped off to school or to camp, the older youth are presumably going out to find work, whether it's a volunteer work, whether it is a job, fee-paying work. The unvoiced expectations from us parents sometimes is that our children know what we are thinking. Well, I have news for you, they don't. Not always. They have adolescent and teenage issues coming at them that they may be afraid to even discuss with parents, and they have to deal with those. So that's gnawing in their minds. Their primary focus is on meeting with their friends and bonding, and probably finding out whether their friends are having the same kind of issues they are having. And so in this case, both Jaden and Samantha, we return to them. Samantha and her friends wanted to hang out. They want to have fun and connect with jobs as much as they can. And they also wanted to pick up job applications as they're out there, whether they're in the libraries or in the parks or in the malls. The same goes for Jaden and his friends. And so they go out and look. These, we have to recall, are kids from strong backgrounds, wanting to do better, wanting to achieve something for themselves and for their family. Let's see how they did. In the end, by the end of summer, they made the effort. Jaden went out with his friends, Samantha did, but none of them found work. However, Samantha's group finished their summer with something tangible because Samantha had, where they were hanging out, they had run into some art exhibits or people doing art, and they asked if they could join. They didn't have money, but they were allowed to come in as volunteers and as helpers. And as they did the helping, they were allowed to make some crafts, arts and crafts that they could take with them at the end of summer. Jaden's group, on the other hand, connected and picked up applications, looked for jobs for money so that they can have some cash to go back in the summer with. So both of them tried. So when it comes to getting back to school, what made the difference in the progress towards self-actualization for each youth is the kind of bonding, the kind of planning, the kind of inclusion they had at home. And let's look at the role of parents there. In Jaden's household, the chief operating officer, which is Jaden's dad, because I wanted to keep this similar so that we're not dealing with too many exigencies. So we're dealing with a single parent in the immigration process. And each parent has his older kid or kids and the younger ones. Could be one or two. In Jaden's household, Jaden was insecure, had no self-esteem. He considered everything in Canada better than what he had left behind. And if unchecked, these would derail his self-actualization and his dream of a better life in Canada and his family's dream for the kids, for them, because when we as parents make these sacrifices, we often make it with our children in mind. So for Jaden, the boss left things to chance, which means that chaos, confusion, self-doubt moved in. And so while Jaden was out there looking for work with his friends, they got into problems. Now let's look at the parenting style number 2. We'll come back to this. In Samantha's household, the chief operating officer, which is the parent, was organized, consistent, and clear in communicating the values, the household values, to Samantha and her siblings. And this meant that when they are out there, they are not out there because they are second-class citizens. They are meant to feel that they have something to offer. They are grateful to be in Canada, yes, but they have also been bred at home or inculcated with the fact that they brought value and they can share that. So there was an element of pride instilled in the kids. No. That's not where I was going. When we look at how the whole thing unfolded, Jaden, most of the time, they spent time, the minute they got rejection from the jobs that they put applications for, they went back into the basement of one of their friends and had fun. They drank, they smoked with whatever money they had, and very soon they were offered the opportunity to market some substance. And from that, it was trouble all the way. So that even after they got back to school, it was an issue for Jaden to remain out of the coffers of the law. So the father now has to struggle to keep him out of trouble, as well as take care of the younger kids. Let us recall a little bit why this family immigrated, or these families immigrated. Most immigrants fall in the categories of immigrants of choice. You want to leave, you want to go somewhere else, that's fine. And there are the political immigrants and the safety immigrants that have to leave their country or their life is at stake. And there are the economic immigrants. The first one I mentioned, the choice immigrants, the examples of those are people that come to study. Their parents have money to send them to school here. They come, they study, they decide to stay. Or they made a connection from their home country to go somewhere else, and they go somewhere else and they come to Canada and they stay there, establish. Those are choice immigrants. The economic migrant are the ones that are in places that are ravaged by war. You think of, if you remember Rwanda, if you remember um, Ethiopia, if you remember, well, think about Nigeria at the moment, what's happening there, and think about even Sri Lanka. Think, there are so many wars going on. Oh, well, yeah, Ukraine is another one. So we have those that come, and when they come there, they're looking for freedom, they're looking for success. And the goal that they set for themselves is what is also driving them. And they're doing this. A lot of them are also family people, and they want better life for the children. That was, let's see what I have. If we can dream it, we can make it happen. So that we made it to Canada is freedom, at least a big part of it. It is also a measure of success to focus on what we wanted to achieve. I would like to go minimize this screen because there's something else I would like to share. I came by it when I was doing research for this piece, and I thought I have to put this here, or at least give people the opportunity to look at it. Let me see if I find it. Is this one here? Where is it? Come on, play. Yikes. Okay, it's not coming up. I want to share this thing, but it's not coming up. Okay, I will leave that. What I will do, I have it here. I have the link. So if anybody wants the link, I could give it to YNOT to give to them.
Yeah, for sure. We would love that, Madam Bridget.
Yeah. So let's continue. So we are here. Let's revisit the steps of meeting our needs to see where we are. So we are here, we said earlier. As immigrant parents, we need to remember that our youth are our future. And regardless of how big they may look, how intimidating they are still our kids. We can only recognize that we are also human with fears and uncertainties. We can recruit our children and young adults in the planning of our lives and in establishing our path to individual self-actualization in our environment. When we do that, we're sharing the love and it draws them closer to us. I really badly wanted to look at that video, but here is the link. I think it's the next one. The summer break is an opportunity. This was to come out of that video. Opportunity to start conversation with our youth, to start self-actualizing, to start reassuring them about who they are and why they are here. It is a time to set up those meetings that we can have with our kids and get their ideas. Because when you start having a relationship with your children such that they are not just afraid of you, they feel free, they can come to you and talk to you about anything and everything, then you are making a headway. Then you are able also at that point to influence them and guide them as to what values they have brought and what they can take from the society that they are in, and how to navigate the difficulties that come their way, how to say no to drugs. We don't want them to get recruited into gangsterism or drug addiction. We want them to make something of their lives. Here is a link that I am going to leave with YNOT, but also here is another place too that you could go and find a whole lot of activities that parents and children can do together as a form of bonding. We are getting to a place where we want to know what questions you guys have. There are not many of us, so it's not. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Madam Bridget. I have a question. What are activities that you do with your family?
Activities?
Yeah.
Oh, you could do a whole bunch of activities. Activities like going to amusement places is one. Going to play ball is another. Going to the park. I'm saying these activities. There are activities that are very, very expensive. Now, I have to be careful. In the list that I gave there are, let me go back a bit and show you some of them. There are, okay, here, I copied this from somewhere. These are recreational programs that kids can engage in. But the things you can do with your kids, you could play with them, you could take them out for a walk in the neighborhood, go and discover that there's a website I saw the other day. They are getting together and walking the trail, the parks around, to show the kids and talk about little nothings. Kids appreciate this. Youth appreciate this if they would come. Or you invite them and their friends to a barbecue, to a park, or a group of parents can get together and organize something for their children. You have the normal birthday parties and so on and so forth. But my kids here, some of the things I do with them that I can, we go to the park, we go for walks, and we talk about things. We find squirrels, we take pictures. We find rabbits, we take pictures. One time we saw, what do you call that? What do you call it? A deer. That was last year. And when we wanted to take the picture, it ran away. So you can do a whole bunch of things. It wasn't too long ago, 2 weeks ago, I went on a picnic, a community picnic with them. So there are a lot of less cost activities. There are also expensive activities. They go to the museum, we go to theaters, to dinners. We take advantage of whenever it's somebody's birthday, or somebody or some people have done some things that are very good. We get them together and we go out for dinner. So things like that are very useful, I find. So yeah, let's get. So any more questions? I'm
Thank
going
you
to
for
stop
sharing,
sharing.
Madam Bridget. I
Pardon
do
me?
know there is a question in the chat. Any financial tips for new immigrants?
For new immigrants, the financial tips they may have that there is to, when you look up the programs that are available, a lot of them are sponsored. A lot of them are sponsored. There was one I saw this afternoon. It's okay. That's the homework help program. There was one I saw this afternoon. It's homework help. So if the kid had been struggling, whether with language, whether with math, whether it's the way the things are presented at school they're not understanding, somebody has applied for a funding and got the funding and is able to set up a shop to help these kids for free. Some of those. Then financially, there's always the system when you first come here as a new immigrant. There is the social system, social assistance. There's the city that looks into the housing, which helps people get housing. You get on the line, of course, because the line for those are very long. And some of those links, in fact, the link that I sent has a whole, or that I will send, has a whole slew of activities that people can do, and they can apply for funding for it. If you're strapped for that funding, there are today, no, not today, yesterday, Stephen Leche, the Minister of Education, announced that COVID has ravaged so many youth. In fact, he was talking specifically about youth, that this fall, and I think YNOT needs to look out for that, this fall there is going to be a program specifically designed to help youth get back on track in terms of the financial wherewithals to continue their education, and if it's parents, in terms of finances, to help the younger kids, to help them, if they need extra help and so on and so forth, to even get the psychological counseling that the, we talk about the effects of COVID, but the effects of COVID is very deep. It's much deeper than we really realize it on a daily basis on the kids. And so it is important for people running programs also to have the extra finance to retain the extra staff. And extra staff is not just staff, it's just staff with the skills. Hire the proper staff that have the skills to help kids restore their relationships as humans. Yep.
All right, thank you, Madam Bridget. There is another question as well in regards to any tips on how to adjust and adapt to a Western culture.
That's a tough one. It's a very good question. I think when somebody just came here, the greatest thing they can do for themselves, if they're able, or whoever is in a position to help them. This is why on immigration, when you get to the Pearson Airport, people that have services like YNOT and many others out there, would have brochures out there, because it's so important for people to connect. I remember when I used to go to Pearson to go and bail out people that just come in and they have no clue. They don't know anybody in the country. So if you can look up a community, say if you're from Eritrea, for example, as an example, you look up the Eritrean community, that those have listed phone numbers in the directories and so on. Look them up, call somebody. Hey, I'm new here. This is where I am. I don't even know where to buy the first flour for injera or something like that, the food you make. So you connect that way, because, and I think the Children's Aid Society, the social welfare system, they all know that now, because they will ask the question. They will ask the person the question, and sometimes they're very good at connecting the person. There was one that happened in my community just very recently. A young man found himself at Pearson Airport, locked up. He doesn't know anybody here. Yet there are lots of people from his country that are here. And the officer, actually it was an officer that was attending to him, asked. And when they asked, they looked up the community and they called the president. And the president went there, saw the young man, talked to him, get some ideas, find out why he was there. And from there, the help comes. So when somebody newly arrives here, their best bet, or if they call an organization like YNOT, the best bet is for YNOT or whomever to do a little bit of research and connect them. Because number one of those hierarchy of needs is to get the comfort of the kind of food you eat back home. You know, when it comes to housing, the system takes care of that. They try to get somebody, if it's not a shelter, they get them temporary housing or temporary hotel or whatever, until the person, case is dealt with. But when it comes to really connecting with people and becoming comfortable, it is good to find someone with similar background, similar culture, and that can walk you into the grocery store where you can buy at least the first familiar food you've got. Your country, you probably don't have hamburgers and hot dogs. And so you need to get that kind of familiarity. So, that's a start. That's a start. And communities here, a lot of the communities have also learned that these are very necessary. So they are very good in terms of, once they are connected with someone, they help them work things out. They help them find, depending on where they're going to live, schools, so on and so forth. And part of it is even accompanying them to school. Maybe next workshop we talk about how a new immigrant can get somebody, when you go to meet with officials of the school system or the job or whatever, it's always better not to go alone. Even if it's somebody sitting there not saying a single word, it always makes an impact to have that other body there. So that is very, very important. Does that answer your question, Nicole?
Yeah, it does. I know it's super, there's so much to unpack in that one single question. And there's a lot of transitions that, everyone goes through. Yes. So I think you were able to really provide a great explanation, but also, be able to be aware of our surroundings and what, individuals go through new changes. At the end of the day, everyone goes through changes. Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Bridget. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so I'm not sure if there's any other questions. For those of you who are here, please feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions, or again, feel free to also drop any questions in the chat box. All right.
What am I? Am I still in the Zoom meeting? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you're still in the matter.
I thought I got lost there.
All right, so I think that will be it for today. I don't think anyone else has any other questions. We are pretty much right on time as well. So first of all, thank you, Madam Bridget, for joining us today on this evening. Let me turn my video on as well. Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Madam Bridget. Again, great presentation. I think you were able to really provide really great examples, even, which I know even myself, I loved, visual presentations to really get the underlying understanding of everything. So again, thank you to Madam Bridget for being here tonight, as well as all of you who have joined us as well this evening. With that being said, I do know we will have the next workshop with Madam Bridget for the new immigrant workshop on August 24th, which will be a Wednesday as well. Same time, 5:30 to 6:30. So keep a heads up on that. We will be sending emails and flyers in the next few weeks to let you know. So other than that, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you, everyone that came. And any questions, fire it off to Nicole. I will send her the links. Okay. Thank you.
As well, everyone, this Zoom is recorded, so it will be posted on our YouTube channel. Shouldn't be too long, so if for any of you who have missed it or want to share it, feel free to check it out there as well. All right, so thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening. Thank you, Madam Bridget.
Thank you.